Mills and Mayhem at the hole in the wall. By the start of the 20th century, most of Hebden Bridge was manufacturing clothing, namely trousers, hence the town having been awarded the nickname Trouser Town by traders. Trousers were made through here, as they still are down at Melbourne Mill by Hebden Co. From the weaving of fustian, heavy corduroy cloth perfectly suited to the industrial working classes who abounded in this valley, and particularly to the Scottish and Irish navvies who since the beginning of the 19th century had camped rough up in the Nuclough Wood just off the Keighley Road and later on the outskirts of Heptonstall in the makeshift chicken sheds, which became known as Dawson City. The making through of trousers also referred to the cutting, dyeing and finishing of the cloth, with companies such as Aston Brothers, Cheetham and Co, Greenwood and Pickles Limited, Thomas Sutcliffe, Thomas Shaw and Co, all within spitting distance of the town centre. It's no wonder that in 1911, St George's Square was described as being an abundance of fluff. And apparently, it was so noisy down there from the whir of all the machines that men and women actually learned to lip read. Well, they had to. This made, as you can imagine, for fantastic picking up and passing on of gossip. And there was nowhere better than to pass on a good week's worth of gossip than at the hole in the wall, which now stands a few feet further back than the original building did when it was erected in 1899, aligned with the Central Bridge and the pack horse trail leading up to Heptonstall. It was moved back, apparently, to allow for traffic. Cars. Anyway, back in 1911, and all around then, stories spread like wildfire in there. Topical ones too, like of the 40 orphans who'd been brought over from York in secret to work at the dreaded Acre Mill in Old Town, which was well known to be riddled with asbestos, and so which would no doubt lead the orphans to an early death from poisoning, and did. Of another resident of Old Town, a child, Gladys Sheard, of Chisley Terrace as it happens, who made the local news a few years later in 1914 when she knitted a pair of socks for a soldier in France and actually got a letter of thanks back from him. And of the adopted son of William Sutcliffe, who, having inherited the industrial entrepreneur's entire fortunes, was killed not long afterwards in a mysterious, tragic horse and carriage accident, and from that time forward was reputed to haunt the hamlet of Slack Top. Stories also continued to circulate of how the hole in the wall ever got such a peculiar name. One, well, the most obvious explanation is that it happened after the Civil War, from the Roundheads bombing it and literally putting a hole in the wall. But a far more interesting theory concerns those navvies who first came to work on the Rochdale Canal in 1804 and the Leeds to Manchester Railway, or Manchester to Leeds, depending where you were travelling. Well, they were paid at the hole in the wall every Friday night, and they were said to be paid so badly for their labour that fights frequently broke out until railway and canal officials became too terrified to step foot in the pub. At last, they insisted that the navvies must be paid by a hole in the wall. So they would therefore have to queue up in an orderly fashion outside. This didn't quite go to plan, for in 1911, prize fights were still being held in the street directly outside the pub. And locals loved nothing more than to spend a little of their hard-earned weekly wages on a good prize fight.